Chapter 12. Act 2. Jane has 46 donuts. She eats 39 of them. What does Jane have now? The thin-faced woman named Leslie asked me. Type 2 diabetes, I said without hesitation. Leslie gave me a pointed look over her clipboard. I sighed. And 7 remaining donuts. I added dully. We'd been going on like this for an hour. Leslie was my government-assigned guidance counselor. It was her job to decide how I'd best integrate into the workforce. So here I was on a perfectly sunny afternoon, sitting in the windowless bowels of a government office, answering one mind-numbing question after another. I knew I shouldn't be snarky since Leslie's assessment would affect my entire future, but I'd lost my faith in this aptitude test somewhere between the question about my favorite color and that weird question about the airspeed of an unladen swallow. Leslie gave me a wry look. I know these questions seem ridiculous, but it's important to have a baseline. You're obviously a bright, independent thinker, so we'll skip to the final question. Do you feel satisfied with your current employment? My current employment was scrubbing out bedpans. I hoped no one felt satisfied doing that. No. I crossed my arms. Is employment supposed to be satisfying? She hadn't looked particularly satisfied for the past hour. Leslie stopped scribbling on her clipboard and looked up at me. It can be. I'm satisfied every time one of my newbies finds their niche. I believe there's a place in this world for every type of person. Some people are easy to please, but you seem to be what I call a stem cell newbie. Is that bad? I asked, wondering if my results would have been better if I'd picked blue instead of green as my favorite color. Not at all, Leslie assured me. It simply means you have the potential to succeed in a variety of fields. Does any particular profession interest you? I considered the question. Is there a job that would pay me to eat food, read books, and explore the world? I'm going to recommend you for trade school, she said decisively, signing something on her clipboard with a flourish. The food isn't the greatest, but you'll definitely get in a lot of reading. As for exploring the world, well, the finest exploration a person can experience comes from finding oneself. She smiled sagely. Trade school will broaden your perspective and help you find your place in society. Leslie peeled off the top sheet of paper from her clipboard and handed it to me. Here's a copy of your recommendation form to give to your host. Once your training period is complete, you'll begin your studies. You'll spend 2 semesters learning about different trades, and then you can pick a specialization. Depending on the specialization you choose, you'll spend an additional 1 to 5 years at university. She leaned forward to shake my hand. It was a pleasure meeting you, Emily. We'll be in touch. After my meeting with Leslie, I swung by the corner market to pick up a few groceries. I was excited because it was the first time Ronnie trusted me to run errands by myself. I strode confidently through the automatic doors. How hard could it be to find milk, peanut butter, carrot hams, and toilet paper? 20 minutes later, I was still staring at the vast array of milk options. Goat milk, cowlim milk, almond milk, soy nut milk, 2% milk, 5% milk. They even had something called, I can't believe it's not milk. So what was it then? In the end, I picked an innocuous-looking white carton and hoped it was what Ronnie wanted. With my head still reeling from nutrition labels and long chemical names I couldn't pronounce, I shouldered my purchases and started the trek home. About a block from my apartment, something unusual caught my eye. A flashy sports pod had parked on the opposite side of the street. Pods rarely parked or idled anywhere. They had better things to do, like pick up new passengers or deliver goods. Stranger still, this pod was bright red. The only other colored pods I'd seen were emergency vehicles. A tall, lithe young man leaned on the pod. He was well-dressed and looked as if he were waiting for something. I found myself paying close attention to his features. Wavy, sandy blonde hair, a well-defined jawline, and a straight, narrow nose. His eyes were hidden behind a pair of dark, reflective glasses. But as I approached, he pulled off those sunglasses to expose sparkling blue irises. The man turned in my direction, and his face split into a large, perfect smile. I glanced behind me, but no one else was there. I turned my head back toward the man with a mixture of confusion and embarrassment. Was this guy looking at me? Was I supposed to know him? I think I'd remember someone who looked like that. His eyes caught mine, and his smile broadened. I felt a strange twinge in my left shoulder. Maybe the weight of the groceries was straining it? The blonde man mouthed something to me, but I couldn't read lips to save my life. I hesitated, unsure how to act. Should I go over and talk to him or continue to my apartment like nothing happened? He gave me a 2-finger salute coupled with a wink. Then he opened his pod's door and slipped inside. The tail lights flared to life, and the red sports pod sped out of sight. "So, how'd it go?" Ronnie asked as I stepped into the apartment. "Horribly." I elbowed the door shut behind me, my arms full. I had no idea which kind of milk to buy. Ronnie rolled her eyes at me. "I meant the meeting with your guidance counselor." She took the grocery bag from me and placed it on the kitchen counter. "Oh, that was fine." I rummaged in my pocket and pulled out the recommendation form. "Ta-da!" I sang, waving the paper around. "1 rumpled ticket to trade school." Ronnie beamed as she took the offered paper. "Congrats, kid. I expected nothing less from you. Can you keep track of this for the next 3 months, or should I pin it to the bulletin board?" "Bulletin board," I answered emphatically. "Have you seen the clutter on my desk? I can't keep track of anything." "Yeah, about that." Ronnie walked over to our bulletin board. "What exactly are you researching? I needed to grab something from your closet earlier, and I saw a bunch of maps and travel logs lying around. Are you already that anxious to leave?" "Course not," I said nonchalantly. "I'm just trying to figure this place out. How can I decide where to go in life if I don't know where I am?" Ronnie accepted my answer with a non-committal grunt. I watched as she pinned my recommendation form in a place of prominence. I hadn't told Ronnie about my trip to East Wharf or my interest in Panosyn's boats. I wanted to, but I didn't know how to bring it up. What would I say? "Hey, Ronnie, I heard the man you loved abandoned you to follow the path of a dead prophet. Want to tell me about it?" No, I needed to wait for the right moment. Now wasn't it. So I switched subjects. "Hey, this is random, but do you know anyone who owns a bright red hot rod?" Ronnie considered the question as I poured myself a glass of water. "I went on a date once with a guy who owned one." I perked up. "What did he look like?" "Ugh, like a decrepit turtle. Old and wrinkly, nothing like his dating profile." She wrinkled her nose in disgust. Definitely not my guy then. Unless this city had phenomenal plastic surgery. "Why do you ask?" Ronnie said, inspecting the groceries I'd bought. "You don't strike me as the gold-digging type." "What? No, I'm not looking for a date. My cheeks burned as I searched for the correct casualness. "I saw this guy on my walk home from the grocery store. He was leaning on a red sports pod on the other side of the street. He waved at me and acted like he knew me. But before I could go over and talk to him, he jumped in the pod and sped off." "Oh, was he good-looking?" Ronnie smirked, placing the jar of peanut butter in the pantry. "Well, yeah," I conceded. "But that's not really the point." "Of course it's the point," she teased. "An ugly mystery man staring at you from across the street is harassment. A handsome mystery man staring at you from across the street is the start of a sappy romance novel." She chuckled. "Just don't follow him down any dark alleys. He's probably a vampire or something." I paused, considering. Vampires aren't real, right? I asked uncertainly. I was pretty sure they weren't, but this world had boat-eating mist, so anything was possible. Ronnie gave me the same head-shaking, disbelieving smile she always wore when I said something ignorant. Not that I know of. She shrugged. But the city's full of weirdos, so who knows? Ronnie's flippant attitude about my encounter made me realize I was being absurd. The man had probably been gesturing to someone else. I'd been standing in front of several windows. Surely there'd been other people around for him to salute. So you settled for whole sheep milk, huh? Ronnie asked, pulling me from my thoughts. Is that all right? I asked hopefully as Ronnie scrutinized the carton. It's a little weird on cereal, but it makes a great homemade ricotta. She tucked the milk into the refrigerator. Now wash up and help me dice these carotams for dinner. Later that night, while brushing my teeth, I noticed the discolored patch of skin on my left shoulder looked darker than before. I thought about telling Ronnie. Then I remembered the embarrassing incident when I thought goosebumps were a disease. The mark didn't hurt, so it was probably fine. I'd tell Ronnie if it started bothering me.